What is up, guys? Sonduren Fanarredha here. A lot of you guys have asked, like, what am I doing video editing? Like, what's my PC? Like, what am I using? So, I'm going to present to you guys, this is my PC that I've built. It's been upgraded. I didn't do a full rebuild necessarily, but it was pretty damn close from my previous build. This is a Ryzen-based PC. So, as you know, guys, AMD came out with this amazing processor, the Ryzen 7 processors. Tons of cores, tons of threads for such a competitive price point. Really has given Intel the shakedown on their monopoly over the PC conductor market. So this has been amazing, and I haven't had an AMD processor in my lifetime. I've had an i5 2500K, so that processor was the king of processor at the time, and I've been using that up until now before I upgraded to Ryzen. That processor overclocked at 4.5 gigahertz, but I needed something that was capable of handling a 4K workload, plus a lot of other stuff, multitasking and stuff, which my old i5 kind of struggled at and was lagging a lot, especially in Adobe Premiere. So I'll walk you guys through what I transitioned out of my old build, some very minor parts going into this new one, but most of it, pretty much 80%, is new, and it's fully capable for that 4K video editing stream. And actually, I say 4K, but this is going to allow me to actually render out 4K or even 1080p work streams and still do other things. Before, with my old computer, when I was rendering, I'd have to leave the computer for 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on the video file size, to let it render, and I can't even touch the PC. With this, I can go ahead, minimize that screen, and work on other things while that's going ahead and rendering. And let me tell you guys, working on this Ryzen PC has been outstanding. I've been able to do so much stuff without any lag or any interruptions in my workflow. It's saving me time, and it's making everything super efficient. So if you guys are like on the fringe about upgrading to Ryzen, maybe you're on an i5 2500K like I was from Intel, and you don't know if it's worth that step. If you are a pro and you do a lot of video editing and you do a lot of workplace stuff, that needs a lot of threads and core count and not necessarily single threaded processor speed, get the Ryzen PC. But even so, for me, for video games, League of Legends, Counter-Strike Go, and all this was a major upgrade for my i5 2500K at 4.5 gigahertz. So even if you've been gaming and gaming is your main thing and you still want to do some video editing on the side, but you need that extra performance for video editing, get the Ryzen CPU. It's been absolutely outstanding. And just a heads up, guys, all the products that I'm talking about in my build are linked down below in the description box. Let's talk about the heart that's holding it all together is the Ryzen 7 1700 CPU. So this is probably the best bang for the buck CPU from the entire line. They have the Ryzen 1700, 1700X, and the 1800X. The difference between the 1700 all the way to 1800X is very minimal for what the price difference is. So most people are getting the Ryzen 1700 and overclocking it about to 3.8 to 4.0 gigahertz. All these CPUs, as you know, have a wall of around 4 gigahertz where you're putting up the voltage too much, and it's not going to really attain to any extra overclock. So I'm running this Ryzen 7 CPU 1700 at 3.8 gigahertz steady on the stock AMD cooler. The stock AMD cooler that comes with the Ryzen 1700, which doesn't come with the 1700X or the 1800X, is actually phenomenal. It's keeping the temps good. It's way better than those stock coolers that you're used to, let's say from Intel. It really looks nice in the case as well, and it's going great with my Canadian rider theme of white and red. So I'm keeping it in the case. It looks really well, and I'm holding a 3.7 gigahertz overclock on the CPU. It's got the ASRock X370 motherboard, the killer SLI, really good motherboard. And the other great thing about these AMD systems that you're going to be building, the motherboards are relatively cheap compared to their Intel counterparts, so you're saving money there. And then for RAM, I got 16 gigabytes of G-Skill 3200 megahertz RAM. So the big thing with Ryzen, and it's been all the rage, is that the faster your RAM seems to improve Ryzen's performance significantly compared to, let's say, an Intel system. So Ryzen does like speedy RAM. So I've got this RAM actually at the 3200 megahertz. A lot of people were struggling earlier getting the RAM up to speed on these Ryzen CPUs, but now a lot of BIOS patches have came out, and now I'm running the full 3200 megahertz on this Ryzen CPU. So it's really, or on this G-Skill memory, which is really good. It's working great in tandem with the CPU. Graphics card wise, this is the one piece from my existing build which I did not upgrade because I didn't feel the need for an upgrade based on the games that I play and my workstation and video editing needs. So I have the GTX 770 in there. It's a fairly older GPU, but for my needs right now, I'm pumping out 200 frames per second on Counter-Strike Go, pumping out 200 and 300 frames per second on League of Legends. I don't need a graphics card upgrade. And I'm running this all on my Acer XB270 HU monitor. So this is a 27-inch, 1440, 144 Hz display. So I'm running those high frames per second, and I need to get that performance, and I'm not bogged down still with the current graphics card, so I'm keeping that in there. For storage, I need a lot of storage here for either my scratch disk, my workplace, my operating system, and all my old files. So I got two 4 terabyte Western Digital drives in here right now. I have two Samsung Evo 850 SSDs, one for my operating system and my main programs, and another as like a scratch disk where I'm working off of for Adobe and stuff like that. So two of them are 250 gigs each, which I think is fine for the operating system, and then 250 gigs for all my workflow stuff for Adobe Premiere. A lot of storage, and then I got those two hard drives back there to put all my old files in. So really good flow and storage for this PC right now. And it's all encapsulated in this beautiful Corsair 460X case. Great ventilation across the system. It has nice lights and you can customize if it flashes, all the colors. I've left it at white because a lot of the lights inside of the computer right now are red. Canadian Rider theme, red and white. You get the point. This is a really nice touch of like glass, delicate lighting, and beautiful looks. I love this case. It was worth every penny. I'm using the Logitech G900 Chaos Spectrum. This mouse has been phenomenal. It's a wireless mouse and it has no lag, no issues like that. I really wanted to get the best mouse for gaming and for workstation purposes. Between this and the MX Master from Logitech, I thought this was the best choice, and it looks beautiful too. You can customize the lighting again. I have it in a nice subtle red that's going, again, matching the theme, so everything looks nice there. And then for the monitor, I got this G410. It's not a full-size, did I say monitor? And for the keyboard, I have a Logitech G410. This has been really good for me. You can actually customize the lighting on the keys. You know, if you're playing first-person shooters, you know which keys you're mainly pressing, or League of Legends, for example, you can customize the colors that come for the keys. They have a bunch of different options. Both this keyboard and the mouse are super fully customizable. I really liked it. It matches well with the system here. What's powering all this is an EVGA G2 Supernova 850 watt power supply. So this power supply is a fully modular power supply, so it's making it easy for cable management in there. You know you're not gonna have any problems with overclocking. It's gonna give you good power. It's a gold rated power supply, and it's 850 watts. Like, that's a lot of wattage. You'll never have to worry about, is your power supply strong enough to handle this? I can probably use this power supply for 10 years down the future and keep upgrading to whatever else I get, maybe a bigger graphics card or anything, and it would handle it just fine. Since I've upgraded to Ryzen and changed all my components into that, and I've left the Intel bandwagon, I couldn't be any happier. Honestly, like before, I was kind of struggling to get by with my i5 2500K, but I just thought that's the way it is, right? I thought I'm at 4.5 gigahertz. I'm pretty good. It's one of the best processors at the time, and I thought I can probably do without an upgrade. But then I started entering into the 4K thing a little bit, and then I needed to do other things while I'm rendering on my computer, even at 1080p sequences, and it was a struggle. So I took this plunge into Ryzen thinking like, I hope this is really the answer. A lot of reviews talked about it. A lot of people were raving for Ryzen. And I went with the 1700, and I honestly couldn't be happier. Now I can actually do things when the videos are rendering, when I'm actually editing. I'm not wasting time with like lag, or the previews are all full 100% quality with no lag and no stuttering, no errors. It's just been a solid CPU purchase. And if you're honestly on the edge, I highly recommend you get Ryzen, especially if you're doing video editing. For gaming, if I was just gaming, I wouldn't have upgraded. That's the honest truth. But even if you're gaming 50% of the time like I'm doing, and your workstation applies stuff, so you're doing like video editing and content creation and all this stuff, get the Ryzen CPU. It's going to make your life so much easier. And the great thing is it's all in the AM4 socket. So let's say something great comes out in the future, you know you're not gonna have to get another motherboard again and all this other crap that Intel made you do, getting new motherboards every year. They're gonna keep this motherboard, I think, until 2020, the AM4 socket. So super phenomenal. You're also supporting the underdog. I'm great and happy to see AMD back into the competition in Intel, and I think Intel, since their latest release, we saw the 10-core Skylake X processor. I think they're a little bit backpedaling here. They're kind of stuck and don't know what to do. I feel like they were caught off on their heels on this. I think AMD's like really targeted them in the CPU market. I can't speak the same for Evga, but yes, at least Ryzen is the answer for us content creators. If you guys like this video, like it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, guys. If you guys got any questions about my build, let me know. Who's got an i5 2500K still, the Sandy Bridge processors, and you're maybe thinking about upgrading, you got some questions, let me know. I'm headed to Turkey very soon, guys. You're gonna see a lot of travel vlogs coming up, and I'll see you guys in my next video.